It has just turned 2 o'clock according to the computer. Today, the Community Redevelopment Agency, Wednesday, August 24th, 2 p.m. Meeting is called to order. Are there any citizens' comments of items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll start with the consent agenda, like minutes from 2 meetings.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add, on the minutes for the May 10th, you have been the minutes refer to an addendum and an Exhibit A, so we have provided the copies to you so that they're part of the consent agenda.
Okay.
They were not included in your packet, but since they were referred, we wanted to make a copy and put it in along with that.
Okay, these ones that I'm looking at.
It's the one that says vacant land contract and Exhibit A on the back, yeah. So that would be the addendum that's referred in the May 10th meeting.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. All right.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All CRAs, FY 22-23 proposed budget.
At the last meeting on August 10th, we kind of went over the major items, proposed items, and I received some feedback from all of you. So today we wanted to present, the more finalized proposed budget, so that then we can work with finance to finalize, to make sure that everything fits, and for our CRA budget to be included in along with the city's publication for the September meetings. We handed out to you a new copy. There's very minor changes. I received some updated information about the administrative costs from our finance department. So you will see, for example, under CCRA expenses, and I'll go in detail. I just wanted to explain the differences that you would be expecting in this new copy. So if you look under CCRA expenses, regular salaries and wages, the new number is $107,681, and the old number is $107,690. So there's just a few dollars here and there based on these new numbers, and then I have to make according adjustments to the rest of the figures. So overall, the big items have remained the same in between the two copies. So if we go through the CCRA revenues, we're estimating for a total of approximately 2.98 million. That includes about $1.5 million from commitments that are not going to be fulfilled this year and are going to be carried forward to next year. So you have approximately 714,000 from the county and 656,000 from city TIF. When you look at the CCRA expenses, I'm going to hit some of the larger items. So consultant fees, we've budgeted 100,000 along all the 3 CRA districts for the visioning and the updating of the master plans. Under contractual services, 50,000 for Norma Lloyd Park. Code enforcement, 25,000. Same. The levels for code enforcement are the same this next year as they are this year. Community policing earmarked for 238, 450, and city administrative charges 25,000 from the CCRA, 25,000 will be from 14th Street CRA, and 50,000 from the Bradenton CRA. So the CRA is committing $100,000 this year to reimburse the city for services and assistance.
How much was that from the Bradenton CRA?
50.
50,000
Community policing?
No, administrative charges.
for the city administrative charges. Do you want me to go through the community policing now or at the end of this? Will you?
I
Whatever
didn't
you
mean to
prefer.
interrupt. I thought that's what you said was
No.
you were doing all three of them, and I wasn't sure what you were talking about.
Going down on the next page, under land acquisition for the CCRA, we have budgeted $550,000. The CCRA advisory board wanted for us to have more focus on purchasing slum and blighted properties and getting rid of that, so more of that traditional CRA functions. Park improvements for Love Park and MLK Park in the amount of $160,000. Public art in the amount of $50,000. Infrastructure for new sidewalks at $200,000. And under projects and grants, a lot of earmarked projects for Habitat for Humanity, the 9th Avenue West Commercial Corridor redevelopment, community events, implementation of the new master plan, and affordable housing projects. A lot of these we will do interlocal agreements, so that's the reason I'm saying earmarked. But we would like to have them in the budget so that we can work with the different entities to do either an agreement or interlocal agreement, depending on the contract. Do you have any questions for the Central CRA?
Questions?
Or any
I have none.
Okay.
Look good to me.
Sure.
For the Bradenton CRA, we're estimating a total of about $8.5 million for the budget. Approximately a little bit over $5 million coming from new TIF from Manatee County and the city, and approximately $3 million from, again, projects that were budgeted for this year but are going to be completed in the future, so we're carrying them forward. So some of the larger expenses in the Bradenton CRA district, again, the consultant fees. Under contractual services, there are a lot of projects that are new. So we have earmarked funding for Realize Bradenton. We have earmarked funding, continuing funding for maintenance of Riverwalk. We have added in $336,362 for the maintenance of Rossi Park, which is the discussion that the city council had at the last meeting about the Forever Lawn. We have a placeholder for lighting in the Riverwalk in case we wanted to replicate what we have in our downtown core right now with the trees at night. Mineral Springs Park maintenance. Once the park is completed, Public Works is estimating that that's going to be the cost to maintain the park. And I think that should be probably in the future a policy discussion of, once and for all, if we're going to take on some of these projects so that we don't keep talking about them every year. Code enforcement, $15,000, and then again you see the city administrative for $50,000. On the next page, land acquisition for $1.5 million. Public art in the amount of $350,000, with the expectation that some of it will be needed for additional public art in the Mineral Springs Park. New sidewalks. Public Works estimated that if we were to put new sidewalks in the entire Bradenton CRA, it would cost approximately $550,000. So one guidance I would like for us to get is if you'd like us to try to do it all at once, the same way kind of we're doing a big project in the 14th Street CRA, or if you want us to bring you back recommendations and kind of piecemeal it a little bit every year. On the next page, you have all the grants, the proposed grants and projects. You'll see Miller's Market for the $85,000 that you previously approved. About $1,100,000 for Riverview 6. Earmarking $200K for Art Center Manatee, and then again the other 3 projects for affordable housing projects. Implementation of the new master plan when we update it, and the 9th Avenue West business corridor redevelopment.
Going back to the sidewalks,
Uh-huh.
you said they would do all the sidewalks for 150,000?
550,000.
Okay, that,
If that's the estimate that we got for
Okay.
whatever is left in the Bradenton. So we cannot do repair of sidewalks because that's a city function.
yeah.
But because the CIP does not include the construction of new sidewalks, it's an item the CRA can pay for. So we have 550,000 right now project in the 14th Street CRA. The survey has been completed this year, but due to short supply of labor and materials, the actual build of the sidewalks will be next year. So we're going to be carrying forward the majority of those funds.
Do they have that many new sidewalk sites? Because a lot of it's existing.
In the Bradenton CRA, the estimate for new is 550.
Yeah, but where is all those, there's sites that don't have a sidewalk? It's not for repair, right? It's for a new sidewalk?
It's new, and we can bring you a map if
Okay.
you want, maybe in the next meeting, and we can have that discussion so you can see where they are.
Yeah, I'd like to see where they are.
And the same thing with the central CRA. The total budget for new sidewalks was 600,000,
Mhm.
but we felt that this year we didn't have the funding for 600,000 for new sidewalks, and that the priorities that the advisory board had were elsewhere, so
Mhm.
that's why we didn't budget 600K.
Okay.
I feel like first off, if I'm understanding you correctly, this Art Center Manatee is 200,000 and 3 years, so it's 600,000?
That was the request, 200,000 for 6 years. The guidance I got
No,
from
3 years.
For 3
3
years.
years, I'm sorry, so, for 600,000 total, so 2, 2, and 2. But the guidance I got from the CRA board at the last meeting was you'd like me to earmark for next fiscal year the 200,000. So that's all I've done.
I want to have that discussion again about, the nonprofit. I realize this isn't an easy conversation to have because I really do support Art Center Manatee. But I think that we've got a precedence here. We've got several nonprofits. I mean, then you've got Bishop, then you've got, the Performing Arts Center. And I just am concerned that we're starting off. I mean, the most we've ever done, as far as I understand, is 50,000 to a nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken. And I just think we're really opening up a bit of a door and it has nothing to do with the value of the art center and I love them and what they bring to our community. I just don't know that we should be, that's the right use of our funds.
Anyone
I
else?
agree with you. Because they don't contribute.
They
to-
do so.
What?
They do so contribute to our community.
I didn't say they didn't contribute to our community.
He didn't
I
finish
wasn't
his
finished.
sentence.
Do you know what I'm gonna say?
He didn't.
I never know what you're going to say.
Forget it.
I'd like to, as far as I think,
They don't contribute tax. They don't pay taxes. So this is taxpayer money that's paid by you and I and everybody out here, and we're giving it back to a nonprofit. It's a great nonprofit, but there's a lot of great nonprofits. So that seems to be citizens don't want our money used for somebody that doesn't pay back to the tax rolls.
Well, I think that we need to have this discussion. We need to have the Art Center here and allow them to share the information that they have to show the way that they do contribute to our community.
I didn't say anything to the
And
community.
I'm sorry, I wasn't done. I think the talking about this now when we don't have the information in front of us is counterproductive. And I think having them come and present their information and show what they do, because there is value in having cultural organizations. It may not be tax money coming in, but there is value. And I think it's important to have that conversation. Since I have been here and before, when I was here before, I never had a citizen come up and say, don't spend my tax money on that. So, I think it's important that, right now, this money is just earmarked.
That's what they've asked for.
It's just earmarked. And if we choose, as a board, not to give them that money at a later date, that's fine. That's a decision to make. Right now, it's just in the budget. The budget is a tool that we use to get things done in the community.
Okay. I just feel like I have to have that discussion. Maybe we need to have a workshop on a policy on it. But I'm just feeling like we're going to open the door.
Well, the door's been opened. The city has, and the DDA previously has given money to different organizations throughout its history. So I think I think it's been opened. Let's do a workshop on it. Let's get the facts and figures in here. Again, I think we just need to have the information.
Okay, but putting it as a placeholder certainly serves the purpose of today's meeting, I think.
Okay.
Ms. Coachman?
Thank you. Yes, this is a placeholder, so it kind of seems harmless right now, but I would like to know the other nonprofit organizations we've given money to, and in this workshop, discuss hopefully how that money has come back to us in some way. You know, I've said this before, and sometimes it's hard to change when you've done something wrong or done something incorrect for years, and it's time to get on even keel. However, I'm not clear exactly on the nonprofit and, you know, and how much money. I definitely would like a workshop, because it seems like we've done this before, not just them, but and we're getting, our citizens are getting something back. So I just want to know, and I guess it's you too, to share with us how, you know, legally we've been off kilter.
And I'll point out, like, we just, in the CCRA, we just listed, you know, $200,000 for Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah.
And we have a contract with the non-for-profit Realize Bradenton. So if we're gonna, we all want to have a discussion, I'm all for it, but.
I mean, but
Can-
one's
can I ask-
contracting services and one is help. I think it's unique, yeah.
Hey, I'm not saying I'm fine with everything, just so you get it.
Well,
I'm just
and-
pointing it out, that
But I
on
think
this,
I think it's important that if they were encouraged to ask for this money, and they're not here today, they were here last week, or our last meeting, they were not here today, I think it's
Right.
the proper thing to do is to workshop this and have them bring all this information forward.
And am I seeing no community policing in here at all?
No, I can address a little bit of that now if you'd like. So we had a workshop last Friday, and I did not hear a clear, I'm sorry if I misunderstood, but there was no kind of clear guidance that I heard on the two things that I did hear loud and clear and I've added are the training for the police officers that I have added in there, And I've also added for the 14th Street CRA to pay a 50% match for a social worker to be paired up with police or community policing. So the 35,000 that you see there, community policing corresponding program, is for the hiring of a social worker to go out. So what I went with scenario 2, which was the larger commitment, with 2 officers in the Central CRA, 2 officers in the 14th Street CRA, 50% of the salary and benefits for a supervisor, 2 police cars, crime prevention training for 4 officers, half of that social worker, and fuel for 4 policing, for the 4 officers, estimated at $6,000 each. So the total commitment that I'm proposing is $446,900, and the breakdown of that, based on our current master plans, would be $238,450 from the Central CRA and $2,800,450 in the 14th Street CRA. I also would like to share feedback from our Central CRA Advisory Board regarding community policing. They unanimously gave me feedback that they're very concerned about additional community policing officers. They felt that it's excessive. They said we have to be very careful with the CCRA money. And I'm reading different comments. A lot of them were in support of this current proposal of 2 policing officers from the Central CRA. They're concerned about committing too much on community policing, which would take away from other projects. And one of them said that the proposal for 14 officers is out. We're not in the policing business. And they pointed it out that
14?
officers.
well,
Can we limit the discussion to the Bradenton CRA for right now? That's
Well,
what
I'm
I
just
wanna
giving
talk
the
about.
overall request on the
Okay.
community policing.
Okay.
I just wanted you to have that. And they're feeling that they're concerned that the CRA is supplementing PD's budget. And this is their quotes. This is not, I spoke with them. And so they also said they need to see written deliverables, what are the expectations and the results. So obviously we discussed an interlocal agreement, whichever CRA you want to pay from, but I think that's the next step. So I'm here to tell me if you don't agree with this proposal, to hear from the board what you'd like for us to
Okay,
do.
I would like to know about I want to limit our discussion to the Bradenton CRA because that's where I would like to see some emphasis put. Have you taken away the 2 officers that were, we hired additional officers strictly for the Riverwalk. Are those still in place?
The recommendation is that it's not in the master plan so that we cannot legally pay for that.
Okay, so you've taken those away and you won't allow us to add any more. I'm very concerned. So I will make a motion right now that we amend our master plan for the Bradenton CRA to include community policing.
Second.
That's a motion and a second.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I'm not comfortable with us amending this plan until we get some guidance from the state. I think sometimes that can be in dangerous water, but Mr. Roth is CAR certified like me also, but I'm not saying we can't, I'm just saying I'd like to have a little more information from an executive at the state level to see that we're okay. That when we start amending this plan.
What executive? Who, I need to know who you want us to get information from. It's not pretty, you weren't clear, sir.
Going into discussion, I'm not for spotting plans. We said we're gonna do the whole plan. I'm all for
And in
the whole plan.
And in the meantime, we don't have officers on the Riverwalk except for what people get called to there.
Chair,
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you finished, Ms.?
I
Barnaby?
wasn't finished, but that's okay.
Can I
Pam,
say
did you-
this, though? I think we need to decide if we want community policing or extra policing. I've gone back and forth in my own mind about this. If the CRA didn't even exist and the police officers were on the streets doing what they do, from the BPD officers I have spoken with, just in, casual conversation or even during an active call, they've got skills. They communicate. I understand if you don't have enough officers, you don't have that time. But they all are kind of wearing different hats, whether they are CRA community policing or not. Now, we have CRA policing, and you want more policing, but
I'm
do you
talking
want
about
more
one
to
CRA. We have none now. They've been all taken out.
all of them?
For the Bradenton CRA, not the other
AFC
two.
Oh, because of the plan. Okay, I got you.
The discussion was to
but-
spot the plan.
Okay, well, let's say the plan was rewritten or amended. Do you want more officers as
Committed.
community policing or policing to make everybody safe while they're downtown or on the Riverwalk?
I guess I don't know the distinction.
I agree, but for some reason there is. And I think that's what the CCRA is concerned about, because they see we need more officers, or maybe not too many. I'm not sure where they were, coming from with that. I wasn't there, but they want to see, yeah, sure, community policing, but that kind of comes with the ball of wax, but they definitely want to see more policing.
I want to
mean,
see,
downtown and Riverwalk, we spent millions in structures and restaurants and what have you. So it seems like you will want more officers there to protect that. Well, there are areas where lives that are priceless. So yeah, I guess I struggle with that too, that we're so adamant that we need policing. And do we have statistics that indicate you need more? Has crime gone up? Or, if you could give us some of that feedback. And then statistics on all CRAs.
but we've only stripped it away from one, that's all I'm saying.
I hear you, but we still got to think about everybody else.
Good afternoon. I've heard this discussion a couple times, and in fact, the lieutenant and some of us back there, he's actually in the process of preparing an essay, so to speak. That's the easiest way to explain it, that is clear about the differences between community policing and policing. Community policing is a phrase that came about in the late 70s, really didn't get adopted until the 90s. It is much different than reactive policing. It blends itself into the training. As we said, let me give you an example of the CEPTED, the crime practitioner. There's $35,000 allotted to the folks who are in the other two CRAs. This school is weeks long. I'll give you the example of turning points. We went out there and did an extensive review of turning points. I'm going to say it took a few days. Preparing the plan took another few days. When you think about traditional policing, it's well and beyond what we do. We go out there, we solve the problem, and we go somewhere. So we can provide incredible data that supports the difference and distinction between community and patrol. But I hear what you're saying. Do we need policing? Do we need more policing? Maybe there's a blend of the two, but I want to be clear that I do feel that there is a place for us to have dedicated community police officers. These are the folks that receive different training. They receive different direction when they go about their day. They're not responding to the routine calls. They're trying to become problem solvers. They're addressing problems at the root before they become bigger. They spend hours addressing these problems as opposed to minutes to move on to the next thing. So there is a distinction, and I will simply say also it does concern me there is a place, 14th Street has a host of problems, and I think we talked about, it'd be great to have somebody that focuses in on human trafficking above and beyond, and can really work with these folks. There's a difference between them and the patrol officer. Same with the Central, but downtown, there's a tremendous opportunity with the tourists and Riverwalk and some of the youth things we see going on down there, to have some folks down there that police a little differently on bikes and on mopeds and on these scooters. I can't wait to have a BPD scooter, right? I don't really want to see it, but I guess we're going to be out there doing the same thing. And so I do agree. We are preparing a report that actually focuses in on why we feel community policing is necessary in the Bradenton CRA. We should have that within a week, and maybe that'll help answer some questions.
Thank you. I guess I'll try to get the top. So what we were talking about was the proposed commitment for the original document here we have here for the policing in the 2 CRAs where we can legally fund it. The discussion got into the Bradenton CRA, which it really isn't about community policing or policing, period. It's not able to be funded because it's not in the plan. So we're talking about, do we want to spot weld the plan or fix the plan, which we talked about doing. That seems to be the discussion. And Chief, so without the CRA, not being able to fund you are you not patrolling downtown? Is downtown now just open season for the criminals? Because I just don't believe that. I believe you're.
Oh, absolutely. We have officers at night. We have officers during
Sure.
the day. We have officers there.
So this is basically about funding. And, well, I mean, it basically is. That's
It's
what we're
about
looking at.
enhancing it and having someone dedicated to
And-
that
and-
area.
And we've already said we're going to do the plan, right, to add
I'll have a motion.
add that into the Bradenton CRA. Now, so the question is, does it,
It could be months and months and months.
and it will, we'll get, look, do you want to vote on the, I'm not supportive of spot welding. the
I
plan.
understand that, but I am. Because I actually don't know feel like we even need to do that, because I believe, and I would call on our council, can we legally, I mean, if we, in my opinion, crime is blight. And I just don't know that, I don't see the problem with funding it. But, and there was no problem until all of a sudden it was decided that it was a problem. So if we need to make someone feel comfortable by changing that plan, then let's do it. And I agree 100% with the long-range planning on it, but I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait until the tide turns on us and we have a problem. There have been plenty of incidences that I'm hearing about, and gosh knows I'm not even that close to the issues on Main Street. But I don't want to see us lose control. We've invested way too much taxpayer money into Old Main Street and the Riverwalk to let it go.
And
So-
I'll let Mr. Rudisell go after, but I just want to clarify, this came about when the PD requested for additional funding to what we were doing before. I went to our attorney to get a legal opinion, and in writing, our attorney said that it would be difficult to defend. So that's what made us. It wasn't an arbitrary decision of I woke up one day and I decided let's cancel that. But I have to listen to our legal attorney when he's concerned that it's not in there.
And on that note, that we were not funding in the CRAs. The police came for us for the cop grant, which we broke up. We committed to the monies. We went ahead and did that as we thought we legally could. And that was gone from 0, and there's now a proposal to go up to 446 for just 2 CRAs. So
I understand, but
so
I'm concerned about the Bradenton CRA.
Okay,
You
so-
guys keep going over to the other CRAs. I'm concerned about
Are we
Bradenton.
legally able to do it?
No, it's okay.
Please don't get me wrong. I don't want to see Bradenton, the downtown and the Riverwalk unpoliced. I definitely don't want to see that. I don't understand why we can't just ride it out the way it is and consider
Scott.
more later. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So what exactly is the question that's being raised? I mean, community policing is something that's specifically mentioned as a power of the CRAs that they are authorized to use if it is in the plan. So, yes,
In all three plans.
So it's not in the Bradenton CRA plan, is the discussion. It is not in there, right?
Okay, so if the
we're not,
question is-
so we stopped funding it because we found out it was not in there. Is it legally to go ahead and fund it anyway?
you mean,
Not the plan, though.
I thought the question was, can we amend the plan to include?
Well, no, and then it
Policing.
turned into, why can't we just give them the money without amending the plan?
Wait a minute, we have been funding two police
know.
officers for a long time.
I get it.
And now all of a sudden, we're being told, and she's saying that Scott said that we could not no longer pay for those two law enforcement officers.
Well, let me just clarify. When I made the comment, I was looking globally. We don't mention community policing anywhere in our CRA plan. Those words are not mentioned. And so I've recommended from that point that if we want to do community policing, we should be amending our plan to include it.
All three of them?
It's
We-
already in the other two.
The other two, we found copies, we sent to our council copies of where we thought it was defendable. We haven't heard back as of today,
It
but
was
we feel
fuzzy.
comfortable.
Right.
I was gonna
It
say,
was
is it
fuzzy.
using that terminology?
It talks about
I looked at it,
homelessness,
it
it talks
seems
about
like-
crime. There's more mentions in the other two CRAs, especially in the 14th Street CRA.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with
Where,
those.
the primary purpose of CRAs is to eliminate slum and blight, to not fund what the city would normally fund as being a city. That includes nonprofits, stuff that's unusual, maintenance of parks. It falls in that category, in my opinion, that those are things that the city is supposed to do. Now, if we tear down a building and make it a nice park, we've done our part. It's now the city's part to maintain it. So us maintaining these things, and you know what, quite frankly, that's my award, so I should be defending it instead of, but I don't, the intent behind CRAs is to get rid of these old empty buildings, get affordable housing, and I don't feel we're using the money because it's available and we're making reasons or excuses to use it for other things. It's pretty simple.
So we're still wandering off the discussion of,
Well, I don't think.
do we do the plan, because this is the point that we're stuck at. Do we spot the plan or not?
Well, there's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion and a second
And a
on the
second.
floor, and as further discussion, exactly what year did the city council become the CRA board? Because I was not here, but exactly when did that happen?
2015 or 16, I'm not sure.
16.
2016. Okay. Well, one of us was here in 2016, and two of you all have been here up until 2 years ago, or a year ago, when people, and you never raised this issue then?
I can
You just
tell
went
that
ahead and-
I could tell you, Ms.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but you went ahead and you funded it.
we were following the directions of our executive director, Mr. Callahan.
Okay, but I'm sorry, you all have told me for years now that you were certified in CRA work. So,
We were
again,
following the
Again.
director, Mr. Callahan.
again,
And the city attorney did not tell us to change it. So, Mrs.
Again.
Barnaby,
all I'm saying is, we see a need, and we've got to pay for it one way or another.
that's true.
City can pay for it.
Well, if the city pays for it, then you start taking to where we have to raise taxes on other people. I want something that is dedicated to the one
So
CRA.
there's a motion and a second.
Never want to borrow from
I'd say we're just getting off track. There's a motion and a second. We'll start
But
the,
do we need to do we need to expand the motion to say that we want specific language put in all, the same language put in all 3 CRA plans? Because you're telling me it's fuzzy, so do we want it to be in all 3
Yes,
plans?
if we're going to amend, but I don't think we just amend just for that purpose. You can't spot, just
Yes,
like
you
you do.
can.
Yes, you can.
Okay, well, the
Who
motion,
said?
the motion is to do that. So,
When
so
I
we're,
was at
we're-
training, they said that.
okay, so
Mr.
we're
Sanders.
wandering into, this is, what this, there's gonna be a vote. So, did you amend the motion for all 3?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
allow it.
And
And a
I'll,
second.
and the second will
And
accept
it's
that.
seconded, okay. I'll start with Jane,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
No for spots.
No.
I typically, and I hope it's okay that I can give my opinion. I typically don't like little willy-nilly, let's do this, let's do that, when the entire plan should be, evaluated. However, I cannot sit here and say I agree with 0 officers for the downtown in Riverwalk. I can't, I just can't. So if it's going to amend and make sure it's clear in all 3 CRAs, yes.
Okay. So now, we'll have to redo the budget for the Bradenton CRA?
Yeah, it doesn't go retroactive, so my recommendation is, it does not. My recommendation is to proceed with that. I'll do whatever you want. You want me
No,
to
I'm just-
earmark it, I'll earmark it.
They
I
want it
truly
earmarked.
don't, whatever you all
I'm
want.
just trying to keep the meeting going.
Yeah.
So what we just voted on was to amend all 3 CRA plans.
Yes,
Okay.
To have the same language.
To have the
Right.
same language.
Right.
I just want to make sure, I really don't care if we put that in there, if we are just following protocol.
Okay.
I just want an opinion that if we are not changing the plan for a specific purpose or something, I don't want to get in trouble for this.
okay.
Just because we like this way, when the city can step, with the same board, we can step forward, ain't nobody gonna turn down police officers on the Riverwalk. That'd be crazy. But I'm concerned about where it gets funded and making sure that we're staying within the bounds of what we're supposed to do. I'd like to have an opinion from the Florida Redevelopment Commission. And as a matter of fact, we're coming up to on
They
a
have no authority.
But the budget,
Anyway, we're gonna move on. That's been voted on, so we're moving forward.
With
What
regard
else?
to the budget, I would like to have those the 2 officers that we were funding before put back into the budget.
okay. I'll work with PD to get costs for those.
Thank you.
I
for
missed,
the,
I'm sorry, the vote count,
3 to 2.
And
3-2.
So I'll be amending the BCRA to include community policing with earmarking and an amount that I will work with the chief as to what those needs would be.
And the other 2 CRAs will remain with 1, or 1.5.
So am I amending the other 2 also?
No,
No, that's okay, never mind, no.
Okay. Any other feedback for any of those 2 so far? So lastly, we'll go into the 14th Street CRA. And the expectation is for approximately 2.4 million. 1.4 is commitments from this fiscal year that have not been completed, so we're moving them to next fiscal year. And we have Manatee County contributions of about 530,000, and the city contribution of 486. And under the expenses, we have the visioning for 100,000. Under contractual services, community policing at 208, 450, code enforcement 25, city administrative charges 25,000. Under public art, we have a few projects, total of 260,000, land acquisition at 300,000. Moving forward, the remainder to construct the new sidewalks that were approved for this year, 527,150. 50K for park improvements, projects and grants at 684,518. With again, a lot of the earmarking for affordable housing projects and redevelopment of the former green properties in the 14th Street CRA. So those are our proposals.
Everybody good?
I just wanted to double check, we are getting information in, and you do have it in here for those properties to be mowed and taken care of.
Yes, that will be part of that.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So if it's okay with you, we're planning on working with the finance department to make the changes that you all indicated today, and then the final CRA budget will be included with the city's budget, unless you want a third presentation to see that. And the timing of it would be a little bit tight, but would you be okay with me just emailing it to you, and if there's any concern, you can just email me back?
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Okay, next is the update from Public Art Coordinator.
Hello. I just want to give you guys a quick update on the request for qualifications. We're doing our very first call to artists for the Mineral Springs Park. So our meeting is next Tuesday, so we will, be finalizing it hopefully. So it's been going along pretty well. We're working with the Demand Star, the purchasing platform, to possibly use that for our call for artists, for them to have everything come in the same place. And we're looking at it to see if that might be a good management thing to do. I'm working with John Toddy to get a good site plan for my RFQ, because we've got some and they're kind of small for if you're just looking at it, on a computer. So anyway, those are just some little odds and ends we're doing on that. But I wanted to bring to you, I just started working on this yesterday. I got it late last week. I've been talking with the artist for the See You When You Return. The
Can you shift it a little bit, because we can't see the whole thing?
Oh, can't see.
I'm sorry.
A little bit more.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So Michael Parker is the artist for that, and in his contract, it says that he could take it back if we wanted. So what this basically tells you is that he'll relocate it. He's got all of the numbers here of what he would do for almost $6,000. And then the thing that I wanted to bring up was when I asked him for this, we thought maybe there was a possibility to have it at the Bishop Museum, but I don't think that's going to happen now. So that may be something we don't do. That's why he put it as a separate line item for us. I'm not sure if you want us to bring this back to you for a bid, or I talked to Scott about not a bid, but an approval. But, he was saying we could do some sort of a write-up, for this, either way, if you vote for it today or not.
So if I may clarify, so yesterday when Jean came to work, she found this quote. So the agenda packet had gone out, so we didn't have time to put it in the agenda. So we just wanted to start the discussion. We didn't know how comfortable you were to give us any authorization today. If you are, that's great. It's going to expedite things. Otherwise, we can bring it back for discussion in September.
Can you adjust it so that we can see what the bottom part says there?
So when is the building expected to be coming down?
Well, we cannot do it until
I
this is
know, I
moved.
know.
So that's why, as part of that
Is-
process going, this has to be done first.
And is public safety done with it? Is it
Yes.
demoable right now?
I
Okay.
believe they are, yeah.
Well, then, I'd say we need to move forward because we need to get the building down. that'll change.
Do we need the building? Is it a problem?
Well, it has been, it's always been, the plan's always been to, when it's done, when PD's done with it.
Okay. I just am wondering, I mean, that parcel is one of the ones,
That's an assemblage,
yeah.
so.
So wouldn't the person, okay.
At one time, when we had it for sale, it was their responsibility to tear it down, so we just let them have it. But that went away, so if you want raw
I
land,
just
you're gonna
can
have to
only
tear it down
imagine what the
yourself.
cost to demo that is gonna be because of the asbestos and what we just paid for the
I
one
don't
little
think,
thing.
it shouldn't be too bad. I think the last estimate that I received on it was like 15 to 16,000. And that was everything to the ground.
And how much have we paid on the green property that we just purchased?
Well, for the two parcels, it was, one was 11 and the other one was 12.
Yeah, I thought it was 20, I thought it was like 20,000, yeah.
And,
But,
okay.
but the building itself is really hazardous. I mean, you cannot utilize the upstairs.
Oh, I don't
It's
think
a
we use it.
disaster.
I just didn't know if it was a problem, a safety problem. I just think it's gonna be expensive to tear down.
Essentially, it is a safety problem if
Well,
someone gets in.
additionally, the fire department and the police department have used it for training, so it also put further.
And I think the chief said it was pretty torn up, so
Yeah.
it's time to tear it down.
Okay.
Well,
Getting rid of slumming boy?
I'm happy to make a motion that we accept the artist's, because it was his work.
Right.
With a
Right.
bunch of other people doing it, but, that we allow him to take it down. Because that way, he put it up, he knows how to take it down. I don't think it'll be damaged.
No.
The
And
thing
we'll-
is, is that, I think it's going to be imperative that we decide if there is another place that we could choose to use this and where that might be. So
So-
that we're not paying $120 a
Right.
month forever.
So what we've done is we've gone, we've looked at the Manatee City Schools, they said no. We went to the Public Art Advisory Board and asked them if they knew of anything, and the next month is when the Bishop Museum said, well, let's take a look at it here. So we had that option, and then, well, at least to look at, and that's off the table now.
What about the Performing Arts Center, the backside?
The backside of the Art Center?
No, the Performing Arts Center.
Performing Arts Center.
You can see it from the Riverwalk. It's a very blank wall.
Oh, that's exciting.
The stage back, if they want it.
It's worth looking into.
That
Or ask the artist if he has some recommendations. Maybe we turn it into smaller murals.
Yeah, I
He
have
just
talked to him a
paints
little
over
bit
the
about that. Well,
existing.
yeah, because it's aluminum, it's,
Oh, yeah, and
it's
that was a big part of the
reusable.
expense. That was
Yeah.
a big part of the expense.
Exactly.
Well, I'm Mr. Ruderstill, can we take action on this today?
Yeah, I think that would be fine if, as long as the board's comfortable. What I had said to Gene was we probably want to have some addendum with some additional provisions in here, have him insured and those sorts of things before he comes on the property. But as long as the board is comfortable with us adding that language, I think that would be fine to do as part of the motion, that the final version would be prepared by the CRA attorney.
Well, I make a motion that we accept this cost estimate that was presented to us today and ask that the city attorney look at it to make sure that we add whatever is necessary to protect the CRA in the city.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And just for clarification, for now, you'd like us to go ahead and pay for it to be stored while we're looking at options, and maybe we'll come back to you in every 6 months or
Oh,
something?
no,
or-
I
Okay.
want this taken care of
Yes.
so that we don't pay for more than 3 months, 90 days.
Okay.
We have
I
to
agree.
we have to find something, even if it's on the side of, we might want to look and see, will it fit on the sides of the treatment
We
facilities.
looked and Mr. McClellan said it wouldn't. This was too big for their
Okay,
facility.
well, again, maybe it needs to be broken into smaller pieces and used.
Can we store it in the building we just purchased for the fire department? If you want to go to 90 days, we're not going to build a fire department in 90 days. I mean, it's, should be free. I don't know if we got anything else
Yeah,
in there.
Public Works didn't have a place, and then I asked
Well,
about here, and it wasn't.
We got a huge building there. It's probably 50 by 75 or 100 feet
What
that it can be stored in temporarily.
are we talking
But
about?
we're purchased land for the new fire station.
Oh.
On Manatee Avenue, right across from the
That's,
train.
that's just moving it into another demo site.
Well, I understand, but you were insisting on 90 days. I'm disagree, or I
No,
agree
what
with
I-
you.
what
I
I-
think it's great.
I don't want this
Right,
to
but-
happen and 6 months later,
Right.
you come back and we've
Right, I got it.
then played,
Right.
I agree with you.
Okay. All
That
right.
would be a quick, that might force us to do something
Okay.
because they say we're gonna tear that one down and get it out of here.
Well, I'm not sure that what that facility is, because he's talking about a climate-controlled space.
Right,
Oh, okay.
right.
And if we did something to
Right.
amend it, he would have it.
You could look at it.
Yeah, and can I ask for clarification? You had talked about you're doing the call for artists. Is that, what is that for? Is that for
Mineral
the,
Springs Park.
the Mineral Springs?
Right.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Ms. Farmer, at the last meeting, official meeting that I was not able to be at, I seem to remember Ms. Coker was asking questions about the educational materials that are the postcards.
postcards.
Have they been, were they paid for? Have they been fabricated? We
So
didn't
I've
have an
been
answer
doing my
yet.
research, and I did actually talk with Ms. Isham yesterday, and she said that they have been fabricated. So they are in, manufacturing right now. So we have a meeting on Tuesday. So all the information I've gathered, I'm bringing to the Public Art Advisory Board, as you guys had instructed me to do. And we'll bring you back a recommendation after that.
Okay,
Well, if it was something that the city council already approved, then we need to figure out how to use those educational
Get them
panels.
installed.
But as I understand it, it hasn't been approved.
it was never, that specific project was never voted on in any way. We've looked.
I was
extensively.
given some dates that aren't even city council dates for when they were approved. And, I found some information in there where they started it and gave a general, agreement. But as for having it completely, I haven't found it yet, so.
But if they've already been fabricated, I think that we need to include them.
I would agree.
Well, if you want me to take it back to the advisory board, I will. If you
We-
don't, that's your
Well,
decision.
we did create an advisory board, so let's just take it through its course. Okay, thank you. FYI 21-22 agreement with Realize Bradenton.
We sent you an email yesterday, and you have an amended agreement that we have come to agreement with Realize Bradenton. This is for fiscal year 21-22. And the executive director and her staff are here if you have questions. It has 2 exhibits. It's been approved. I mean, both of us executive directors have worked on this feverishly over months, and we both are good with the contents of it. So if you have any questions or concerns, we're here to answer them.
Well, for starters, I'd like to thank everyone for working together and getting this done.
Move to approve?
Se-
Second?
Okay, this motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
The-
Funding request for Blues sponsorship.
I'll have Mrs. Isham from the executive, or her staff, somebody from Realize Bradenton come forward. They have requested if the CRA would like to be again a sponsor for the Bradenton Blues Festival for 2022. Last year, we and you have a copy of the sponsorship levels on your packet. Last year, we were in the Blues Kings category of $5,000. Realized Bradenton was kind and they gave us some more space than what that level was. So they're here to kind of talk about the request for this fiscal year for December.
Thank you, John. Well, I guess while that's taking place, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't at least go ahead and just do the same thing we did last year.
And thank you for the approval on that agreement, and I appreciate working with Katerina.
Well, I'm not happy. I didn't get all in the picture.
I was gonna say, look at.
Isn't that your
You
hat?
blocked me out.
Isn't that your
You're
hat
there.
there?
You're there.
Huh?
I'm
Is that the
glad I'm
picture
not.
you got?
Oh,
I think
it's
it's
in there
your
with
hat. You
there.
have a
That's
hat.
my hat.
That's your
Well,
hat, Bill. That's Lee.
I got my dress, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I see,
just-
I see
Oh,
two of them
Mark
really getting
Hansen.
down there, Mary Ann and Pam,
They're getting down.
and, wow.
This is a good picture.
So this is the program from last year. As you can see, this has become an international event. And the little blue sticky shows you the full page ad that we increased to a full page ordinarily. The Blues King would be a half a page. So I boldly request you to consider if the hosting sponsorships, which I think you had in your packet, but they're here again. If the hosting sponsorship level would be more advantageous, I'd have you look at that, and then the Blues King is also listed there. And we will make sure we get a picture of Councilman Saunders dancing.
Sorry?
We will make sure at the next festival, we get a picture of you dancing.
And this was a fun time. I had fun anyway.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to see us,
And people return, and it does bring people downtown
it was a good,
for economic development and spending.
So, so,
I mean, do you need a motion?
yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve a hosting sponsorship of the Blues Festival in the amount of $10,000.
Okay, it's motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, it was with
She's choking.
No. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Other discussion, new business. I have a card here from Rami Samed, who is, I'll give your name and address.
Hello, I just wanted to come up here to give you guys an update kind of on what's going on with Miller. Some setbacks unfortunately have come up and we're trying to work through them. And then also I'd like to talk about the approved funding that the board has approved, but I wanted to see if there's any way we could adjust that. As far as an update right now, we finished the roof that was past its final inspection beginning of August, like August 2nd or 3rd. And so now we are waiting on refrigeration. We were supposed to receive the refrigeration. It was by the end of July, but there was some setbacks, so we are still waiting on a refrigeration as far as walk-in coolers and freezers and that nature. So once that is up and once we receive that and then it's installed, it wouldn't take us much time to get it open. We will be doing a grand opening once we get all the aspects of the building open. I know the community and the city is eager for the store to open. Unfortunately, you know, with a lot of supply issues and things of that nature that are out of my control, I I'm trying to expedite it. I know I feel like there's a lot of weight on me to get it open and to make sure that the representation that I've been giving you guys is fulfilled. So, kind of giving an update why it hasn't been open. I don't want you guys to feel like we've drawn back or any of that. We are in full force. It's just that we're waiting on certain things to be installed that I can't control. There were some issues, I'm not sure if the board is aware of the trash can behind the property, and also a right-of-way that I've been talking to Kim. We had a meeting with the surveyor, with the city surveyor yesterday. There are some things that I'm looking into as well, and then I've asked if I could talk to the city council, attorney, excuse me. I'll tell you what's going on so you guys are aware. Between the property, there is a right-of-way, a 40 feet right-of-way. And the issue that we've had is there's a trash can that is part of the complex behind the Miller's Meat Market, which the probation office is and et cetera.
So is it a can, is it a dumpster? What
Two dumpsters.
Okay,
2 dumpsters. It is very unkept. A lot of issues with people sleeping there, throwing trash everywhere along the fences. It's a real nightmare. People parking on my property, Miller's Market property, and parking there and going to probation office, et cetera. It's just been unmaintained. Long story short, I've asked Kim and the city planning to move that to where the trash dumpster companies, the waste companies, not coming back and forth through the property and dumping the trash that's not my trash, and to close that off. In doing so, I wanted the right-of-way to be vacated. When I was talking to Myra, which I just found out today that she's no longer with the city, it was what I was told was Myra was going to initiate the vacation of that property because the right-of-way, there's people buried on the right-of-way. And, it makes you, the right-of-way is supposed to be open. So to vacate it, I would get 20 feet of the 40 feet, and the city or the cemetery would get the other 20, and there'll be no issue. But with yesterday's meeting, a problem came about where FPL has put a pole somewhere there, and I just wanted to review some options because the vacation needs to happen, I believe, because.
Let me stop you right there. That will be when we wear our other hat. I'm aware of the situation. It is absolutely going to need a legal remedy. It's going to be very tricky, and we're going to have to act as a council. But right now, you're here for
Yes,
funding for the
Yes.
market.
Yeah, so the reason why I say that is because my surveyor needed that to see what we were going to do with it so I could get that facade in the front of the building fixed. That's why I was kind of giving you guys what was going on. My survey is not fully complete because I didn't want to spend more money if it was going to be vacated for the survey to come out and redo the survey and spend more money. That's why I wanted to bring that out, to bring that to your attention. That being said, and what you're aware of, I would like, if possible, to amend the CRA. I know you guys have approved the $85,000, but what I would like is that after each item is completed, so we just finished the roof, I would like to submit the invoices for the roof so that way I could get paid that amount, and then so I could continue to reinvest, because we have a budget, and we're trying to do the best with that number, but with the help of us reutilizing the money that we've spent, it could help us along tremendously.
And that's a Bradenton CRA, yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
well, my question is there anything in our agreement? Because I don't believe we've ever done it this way before. Usually people finish the project and they submit their bills and then they are reimbursed. My question is there anything in our agreements, or should we, if the CRA board is interested in doing business this way, should there be something in the agreement that says if the owner chooses to sell the property once it gets all fixed up, rather than do what they say they're going to do, that we are paid back immediately.
A lien, put a lien on it.
I mean,
Do like a draw schedule and then have liens? No, okay.
Don't remember that ever being
Yeah, I mean,
a condition.
I think we could do that, but that's a lot of work to do, given the amounts of money that we're talking about in a lot of
Okay.
these cases. I mean, we have had some discussions about, you know, the potential to claw back in some situations. And we do put language like that into the agreements where, you know, it's just questionable without having that lien, what kind of mechanism we would have to enforce it, but.
And Can I
Okay.
ask a question? Some of the things that you're talking about are, I mean, if the roof, that's a no-brainer. If the next person using it, if for whatever reason you can't finish what you're doing, the roof is gonna still be a benefit. But if it's something that's gonna be only like the refrigerators or whatever, that's gonna be only good for you, that's where I would, you know, but I also, you know,
Well, you were going to do the facade next, right?
Yeah, so just to clarify, the money that that I was approved was only for the exterior of the building. There
Okay.
was nothing for the interior as far as me making it into a supermarket. I could show you invoices that we've already spent $30,000 just from, we've been buying equipment from auctions. And so we've already, I've also invited Chris yesterday from the meeting into the building to see, you know, we've got produce stands, we've got a lot of the things that are there that we've already invested money in. We're taking a gamble and opening the store, and hopefully it'll become successful.
Right.
You know, I just don't know what kind of, how, you know, I hope the community, we could stay established and continue to run the business there. But, you know, we were definitely going to open it. I just don't, if we're losing money on, just say yearly or monthly after a year, because I know the first year is going to be difficult for us, but after that, we would have to sit down and say, hey, is this the right place or the right location for it? But I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that this is going to work out.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, my thinking is, if someone fixes up the building and makes it usable, we're ahead of the game. So the question is, can we parcel them out? Is there anything in the agreement that says we can't give him, like, pay him for the roof and, as what he's requesting?
So this is a unique situation. Normally, we go through our grants that there is, you can do this, you cannot do that, they sign it. Because this came as a unique request, we don't have that. So we were trying to follow the same rules for this one as we normally do. So normally, we wait until everything is completed, until they get a CO, and then they submit the receipts, and then we reimburse them. When I was approached, you know, I would be willing to, you know, my point was I would be willing to try to help out. My concern was that they were not at least open. So even if they did just a roof and instead of waiting for the whole 85%, my position was, if you're open, I'd be willing to keep paying you on projects. You all can make whatever determination you want. So if you want to just us to match the amount on the eligible expenses, even if while he's not open, we can do that. It's up to you to give us guidance. So that's why we're here today.
I just want to see him be successful, so
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
this helps to get to that, I don't have a problem.
I agree. And is anyone opposed to this?
I do,
Okay.
because if we start this precedent, I'm gonna open the shop the next week and I'm gonna ask the same thing. Are we gonna start this? If we do, we have to offer it to everybody. So you put a roof on, you pay for it, you put a facade on, you pay for it, you're still not open, you close, you sell the building, we didn't recoup our money. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Okay. Well, I'd say we got a young guy trying to make a go of it. I'd be willing to, so do we need to vote on this?
I'm sorry.
Because,
This is quite unique.
right,
And we've known for years that that area is a food desert, and here's someone who is attempting to bring something to the community. I mean, we can go back to looking at 13th Ave and all the money we would need to get a food store of some type in there. So a unique situation,
I agree.
unique measures.
So we'll need a motion for a special exception to parcel this out.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to make a special exception that we reimburse
That we match, so
That would-
50% of the eligible expenses.
eligible expenses. Do we want to,
Let's say as they're completed.
is that as far as you want to
As they're
say?
completed.
As completed?
Mr. Ludasil may have some.
Yeah, I think we
Um,
need some,
Yeah, first of all, I think we need to be careful saying special exception with the
Right.
planning department getting all excited back there. I would just say that we're authorizing the reimbursement to be done in phases for the project. And I don't know if we know what those are. What is it, the roof? And,
There was a list of like 10 or so eligible expenses a few months ago when
Right.
the agenda memo was. So it would be based on that list of expenses that were approved back
okay,
then.
so I think it would be as simple as that
Yeah.
we're authorizing the reimbursement in phases as the project proceeds.
and maybe, should we put something in there about the permits being closed or whatever?
Sure.
Is that your motion?
Is it doable? Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the release. Oh, gosh, you guys help me on this.
Don't look at me. I think I've said too much
Make the
this
motion that
meeting.
we approve the expenditures as they are completed on this project.
And permits are
Providing the
closed.
permits have been closed off.
Yeah, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that's a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
I
Thank
appreciate
you, thank you. All right, now I have a non-agenda item here from KK.
It's better than hidden agenda.
Oh,
That's
There you
true.
go.
ba-dum-bum.
I'll go with that.
Have you seen these?
So, this new development, it's almost ready for the finishing touches, which is what I'm here for today. Mr. Ken McKeithen constructed the 7 townhouses in the Village of the Arts. It's on 951 13th Street West. And as you can see, prior to this land was vacant and it was a mess. It was kind of like a collection site for all kinds of interesting things and a real eyesore to the Village of the Arts. As well as the whole area, the community was negatively impacted. So about, I would say 15 to 18 months of construction has been going on. Mr. McKeithen reached out to CRA staff and asked if the finishing portion of this could be funded out of the 14th Street CRA. So what that entails is landscaping, and some brick pavers to finish the walkways from the sidewalk to the entryways of each townhouse. And then trees and plants throughout the property. I apologize for this, it just didn't want to print for me very well. But it just gives you kind of an idea of where the trees will be. This is the sidewalk, this is 13th here. And this is one example of a frontage for one of the townhouses, okay? So, the estimates have come back in, and he has chosen his contractors. So what I'm here today for is to ask you for your consideration of meeting this with a 50/50 matching grant of $10,000. The total cost for improvements at this point that are eligible is $26,785. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Mr. McKeithen could not be here today.
I have a question for, it just hit me. I don't think it's a problem, but I sold him the land, but it was so many years ago, actually forgot about it. I don't have any conflict, because I have nothing to do with the project. I get but I did sell him that property.
I mean, unless you have some stake in the decision that's being made here, then
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It was a long time ago. Yeah, I made that. Would have made a lot more now, but, yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well, it's a great project.
I think it looks great.
Beautiful.
I kept wondering, I thought they weren't happening because I didn't drive by, and I figured for sure he'd be in here wanting some help with it, so I'm really
I know. He's
glad.
been working on it for a long time. He's been tinkering with it, and he didn't ask for anything that I know of.
No, I think this is part of that, private money following the public money. I think this is exactly
It's a
what we
great
hope.
example. Yes, it is.
Well,
Yeah.
If you drive down 13th, I promise you, you look to your left, and if you're heading south, and it's like, where am I?
Yeah.
It's that big of a difference.
I haven't been in them, but I've spoken to someone who has, and they said they're really nice.
Very nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to move for approval of the Building and Site Enhancement Grant application by Village Cottages LLC for up to $10,000.
Second, anyone? Second, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Big win.
Yeah, it's a big one
All right.
for downtown.
Thank you very much.
All right, that completed the agenda. We got anything else?
2 more items under other discussion. There's a few items that cannot wait until the September 28th, so I would like to ask that we have a special meeting on September 14th after the city council meeting. One of them is an affordable housing request, and their deadline to submit to the state would be too late for the 28th. So if it's okay with you to go ahead and schedule that.
Can you say what it is?
September
Can you
14th.
tell us what it is?
It's the Project Astoria on 9th. It's 120 units of senior affordable housing on 9th Street West and approximately, 21st Avenue.
Okay.
It's in the 14th Street CRA, and they're making a request to the city and the CRA.
How far is that from the ballpark?
It's past. Past.
It's past the ballpark, yeah.
Past of it?
Yeah.
South, yeah.
Ballpark is 9th and
And 17th.
17th and 9th.
This is towards
Okay,
the
so
mall.
Yeah, so it's 4 blocks down.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, okay. Yeah, I think we should do that.
Okay.
Which CRA is that in?
14th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a few other items that also we would like to move forward, but I'll try to keep it not too heavy on the 14th.
All right.
And also, I got a call from our conflict attorney, and she has resigned from the CRA, so I just wanted guidance on what you'd like us to do.
Okay.
I didn't talk to her.
No, it was not you.
All right.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, she was our former conflict counsel. She'd already resigned from
Yeah.
the city.
Right.
We do have new conflict counsel who I can reach out, but I am confident that they have CRA experience as well, so.
All right.
And that's it on my end.
All right. Anyone else?
Move
Nope.
to adjourn.
A second?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.